let me just do what needs to be done. All right. Good afternoon, Honorable. Today we are actually joined by our Honorable. I'm actually shaking in my boots. I won't lie.
No need. I'm a mother. I'm a people's person. Remember, I'm a politician. So I deal with everybody from the grassroots all the way to the top. So no need to shake.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. I'm actually relaxed by you saying that because sometimes when you have greatness in the house, you just need to shake a bit. If we don't do that, we will never appreciate the greatness that we see each and every.
Oh. No, that's all right. That's okay.
So to our listeners, a good afternoon, a good morning, good day to wherever you are around the world. Welcome to Radio 54 African Panorama, which is a first Pan-African radio station. And we are here joined in by Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, who is the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting. That's from the Parliament of Zim. In Shona, we say tatsikwa. If you want to pray for rain, just know we are in there. So welcome to the show, which is Creating the Africa We Want. This is actually a socio-economic show that aims to tackle challenges or societal ills faced in Africa and coming up with solutions. So along the way, we realized that we cannot do it without the politicians, the decision makers. And it's August, which is a Women's Month. So we've been showcasing quite a number of women. We've done women in ICT and activists and so forth. And we said, why not women in politics? Let's understand their journey, how they make decisions, and so forth. So to those who have just joined in, who are joined in all over the world, we are joined in by Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, who is the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting in Zim. Welcome, Minister.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to such a very important occasion. Issues of women empowerment, issues of women sisterhood are very close to my heart. I've worked all my life to just make sure that as women, we work together, we support each other, so that at least we instill that confidence that we can do it. And so I'm here, despite my very heavy schedule, I just had to make it because of the importance I put in it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister. It's actually I'm actually honored to have you here, and it's very important that we engage with people at your level, given you are educated from the degree in marketing, business administration, and you have held many offices from being a diplomat in Australia, New York, Namibia, as well as I see you've been the deputy minister for labor and social welfare. And looking at all of that, it seems like, wow, it's been a long journey. So I want to ask you a question before we go anywhere, and I think it will explain a whole lot of more and answer a lot of questions. Looking at all of this, all of these roles, what role is the most memorable in your life that you can say, I can return to and do things better or do more?
I want to say thank you very much, and the name is, your name is, if you can just remind me, sorry, Martha.
Martha Matarenda Shumba. It's Martha Talent Shumba, but being closer to
Talent Shumba. So your totem is Shumba?
Yeah, my totem is Shumba. I prefer...
My totem is Shumba too.
Oh, Maita Shumba, Mandera Pasina Gwenzi.
But thank you very much, Martha. Martha, it's my pleasure to share my life experiences with a lot of other young girls and other women. First of all, let me say I happen to be a politician, not because I particularly sat down and thought about I want to join this party or this political party. At the age of 14 and a half, almost about 15 years, when I was at a secondary school in Chimanimani called Mutambara High School. That was in 1976, and that was the time when Smith, the former colonizers of Zimbabwe, were declaring that never a black person would ever be able to vote in this country. Never a black person would ever walk in the streets of Harare. Never a black person can do anything more than just a teacher or a nurse. And to us, that generation, thanks to what had happened in the region, Mozambique, Frelimo had just got its independence in June 25. That was the independence of Mozambique, and that inspired us a lot. So let me say we are that young generation which was really inspired by what was happening in what had happened in Mozambique, of course, and many other countries. In South Africa, the Soweto generation, what they were doing in Soweto, fighting to say, look, we are human beings, we need our dignity, we need to be respected. So at that early, tender age, I left high school, where it was a boarding school, with other 4 girls to join the struggle. Wow. We were inspired by the Frelimo, that they had fought hard for independence. And the question was, what is that we can do also as young people of Zimbabwe? So I joined the struggle at a very, very tender age. That is a story for another day. The struggle was tough. I'm glad I'm talking to the women of the region. I hope the history will be written, more books will be written. It was a difficult time. I just did an interview last week because August is Heroes Day, Heroes Month in our country, where we celebrate heroes and we also celebrate the Defense Forces Day. And so I had an interview. And just to say, it was really difficult. I got trained, I had an opportunity to fight the enemy, and I'm happy that I got back in 1980 at independence to carry on with my tasks to make sure that Zimbabwe, which we fought for, continues on the same principles and values which we had fought this country, the enemy for. So here I am at independence. I became one of the first diplomats of Zimbabwe. I would say the pioneer diplomats of the new Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe got independent on the 18th of April in 1980, as you are aware. And we were posted, the first diplomats to be posted out. So I joined, and that time I had my husband, Christopher Mutsvangwa. I joined him and in Brussels, and I was working as a secretary in the trade and industry in Brussels. That was working for the EU then, EEC then. So I worked in Brussels from 1981 to 1985. And from there, I then was posted to New York and worked at the Zimbabwe Permanent Mission to the United Nations. I was attached to the tourism as I was promoting tourists to Zimbabwe. And that was a great job, I must say. I enjoyed, promoting my country. I enjoyed marketing my country. Education-wise, as soon as I got back from the war, I embarked on finishing my O-levels, finishing my A-levels, and went to university when I was in New York. I managed to get my degree, my Bachelor of Business Administration, and continued to work at the same time. Very strong. The background of being a war veteran actually gave me a lot of energy. It wasn't easy. I was a mother. I was somebody's wife. I was going to school. I was working. But I did that with a passion. Everything was important in my life to do. From New York, we finally got back home, and I continued working in the Zimbabwe Tourist Development Association, and this was where we were marketing Zimbabwe to all the continents and the region. And that again was a very, very interesting job to me. I'm very good in marketing. As you know, I've got a Master's of Business Administration. I've got a Bachelor of Business Administration, and marketing has always been something I love to do. I love to sell anything. I believe anything. If we all grow tomatoes, if you don't market them, someone's tomatoes will rot, and somebody's tomatoes will make him rich or rich. So marketing is something which is very close to my heart. So that was it. And then I then left the Zimbabwe Tourism Development Corporation and joined marketing the products between Zimbabwe and France. So in a way, I was attached to this French Trade Commission in Harare. I promoted a lot of our products from Zimbabwe to France, and also the other way around, promoted French wines, French cheese, and all that to Zimbabwe. So that was another job I did for a while. After that, I got into my private business. I became a business person. And I worked very well in the telecommunications. In this country, our family company, which was there to consult government, consult companies, became a household name in the telecommunications. We played a big role in just making sure that Zimbabwe has got an internet hub. We played a big role even in having the GSM. I mean, at that time, people believed in landlines. When we walked around in offices lobbying that we should have a network, GSM network, everybody looked at us and said, why are you marketing something which is not even, we don't have even enough landlines. So it was again in this company that my marketing skills came up to the top. So we managed to work with a lot of companies, and finally Zimbabwe got its network and GSM network. And that for me is a source of pride for my company. We then were called back from business and then went to China as diplomats. So again, I lived in Beijing, which was an extremely, extremely good experience. I will never, I have nothing to regret about my life. Brussels, New York, Namibia, Beijing, I learned a lot. It was, for me, I actually saw work in progress, where a country was actually coming from poverty to becoming a big economic power. So I saw it. I saw buildings being built in Beijing, 24 hours, you see a whole building of 30, 40 floors coming up, bridges and all that. Amazing, amazing economic development I witnessed whilst during my stay in Beijing. I also visited almost 29 states of China just to understand where they were coming from and what they were doing. All right, so we come back to Zimbabwe, 2008. In fact, 2007, that's when we came back. We went to China in 2002, came back in 2007. I got a delegation from my home province, which is Manicaland, who actually requested that they would like me to represent them in Parliament. And so they came home, I talked to my husband, please allow your wife, because during this whole time I had been doing community work just to make my mother proud. I would help build churches, I would help build administrative buildings at school, just to make sure that I give back to the community. And so the chiefs and all the other leadership in that area wanted me to represent them. So this was in 2007. I then started working on that, on representing my people. There were elections in 2008. And when I went for campaigns, it wasn't easy. What I did is I used my marketing skills to listen to people and be able to talk to them about what they want to hear and what they want to be solved. Never to just go to a meeting, start talking to people without listening to them. So for me, I think that was the key. 2008 was the toughest year for ZANU-PF, the ruling party of this country, Zimbabwe. And Manicaland was actually at the verge of being taken by the opposition. We were very few members of parliament who won the 2008 elections in Manicaland. And I happened to be one of those. A lot of others who had been there for a long time as members of parliament lost elections, but I won those elections. I won, landslide in my constituency. I was overwhelmingly elected. And I remember a lot of people were asking, but you were in China. You just got back, and a lot of people who have been members of parliament here, they lost. How did you manage to do it? And I was very honest. And I always say, if you want to represent people, you need to be sincere. You need to understand their issues. You need to understand who they are. You need to put yourself at the same level with the people, the grassroots people. So that's how I was. I listened. I accepted criticisms to my party. I accepted the criticism why people were angry and what they thought should be done. I sat down and listened, and I would, where it needs for me to apologize on behalf of the party, I would do that. So that's how I got into parliament, and I've never looked back. I was elected in 2008. I'm still, this is my third term in parliament. So my 12th year in parliament. I enjoy a lot of support from the grassroots people I deal with. I always try to go back and be accountable to them, despite my heavy schedule as a government minister who is very busy. You know, information is one of the busiest ministries, but I always try to make it a point to go back to those people who elected me, so that at least I understand and I move together with them. There are three things which a member of parliament needs to do. That's representing those people who elected you. Also being a member of the parliament, you are a legislator, making sure that the laws which are put into the country, they are the right laws. And of course, oversight. So I try to do that. It's not easy. Yes, as you have rightly said, I was appointed a minister in 2011, Deputy Minister for Labor and Social Services. I served in that ministry well, and then I was transferred to the Ministry of Information, the same ministry as a Deputy Minister. Then from here, I was moved to promote investment in the country. So I joined the Ministry of Macroeconomic and Investment Promotion. And then things happened, and that was the time of Mugabe and Grace, and a lot of things happened then. I was fired, and I didn't lose heart. I am a war veteran. I'm very strong. I can take anything which comes my way. I am where I am because I've committed myself to work for the people, and I mean it, and I don't, not a single day do I think that I have got a position to abuse and for my personal good. So I just went home, watched what was happening, and then the revolutionary legacy came in. I was appointed to be the first as a Minister of State for the province of Manicaland, which I enjoyed working for. This is my province. For me, it was an opportunity to bring people together, because I know where there's peace, where there's unity, there's certainly development. My president's mantra is Zimbabwe is open for business. My president's mantra is we need to, as much as possible, to re-engage and engage with other countries outside and to make sure that we develop. So for me, it was 1 year, hardly a year in Manicaland, but I think I achieved quite a lot. I brought people of all kinds of races, tribes together. I mean, a race, I didn't look at people's race. I didn't look at people's religion. I looked at Manicaland people so that we move together. The success stories are there for another day to talk about. And then come election 2018, I was elected as the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, which is the ministry in which I am now. So let me leave it at that, because otherwise there's a lot more, but otherwise I just thought I would walk you through from the time I joined the struggle to where I am today. Thank you very much, Martha.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that from when you were 14 and a half to 15 years old. I'm actually inspired and I'm boiling because, you know, we, as the millenniums or women of today, we always think that there is, the whole world is against us. Not only women, but even as Zimbabweans, even as Africans, we always think that we cannot achieve everything that we want to achieve in this life. But looking at what you did when you were 15, fighting the Smith regime, fighting the Rhodesia, it's quite huge. And I believe that is something that inspired you along the way to say, nothing can stand in my way. If you were able to fight that regime and win the independence for Zimbabwe, nothing else can stop you. So I want to ask, actually related to that, when you look at millenniums and I can say the born freeze, we are kind of disconnected or confused where Zimbabwe and Africa is concerned. When you look at the liberation struggle, some years we are beginning to pick up and, you know, believing in Pan-Africanism. but we are not, they don't really understand the struggle so as to fit into the future. So when we explain to them how the world, how the system was structured, how our people suffered to get to where we are, they really don't understand. As the Minister of Information and Publicity, are there any channels that you are using to make sure that history will be remembered and all that information is kept so that we can actually, fit into the future?
Martha, first of all, I think I really have to apologize to the younger generation of this country on behalf of government. And when I speak government, I speak the government of Mugabe all the way to where we are. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is there's a gap in the history of this country. We made a mistake, not many people wrote books. A lot of our veterans who suffered through and through, there's a belief among the people in this country that war veterans are the ones who came from the bush to the offices, which was never the case. And a lot of Zimbabweans, a lot of war veterans have not been given an opportunity to write. You are living, war veterans, when Zimbabweans left for the struggle, they took people from all walks of life. Some were at university, for example, my husband was at university. I was a small girl at Mutambara High School doing Form 3. There were some who were just poor in the villages who couldn't afford to go to school. There were some who came from the suburbs, Mbares and the Highfields and Blawayo and all over the place. So it was not a group of people who one can look at and say, these were veterans. These were people of Zimbabwe from all different walks of life. But this is a generation, a youth generation, which said, no, Smith cannot do that to our race. We need to make sure that this country got given to us.
That's right.
Black people should also have opportunities. There are a lot of things which we take for granted in our country. The young people, when they speak, they think a war, for example, was like a team of football, where you say, okay, let's go, we are 25, let's go to Zambia, and let's go and fight a war, the team there, and we win and come back home. It wasn't like that.
Yeah,
this was a terrible, terrible thing. People died. There was no food. There were diseases, no medication. There was no home to talk about. People literally living in the bush. People became also almost like animals. We didn't have enough resources as a guerrilla warfare to fight a strong army of Ian Smith. It was supreme sacrifice. Unfortunately, a lot of young generation, they do not understand where we have come from. It was really a tough war. For that, I can go on and on, but I don't want to go that direction. I just want you to know also that when I was in Parliament, because of my passion for women in this country and many other women in the region, because I worked with women in the region, in SADC region, a lot of women in power, I've worked with them. And I've worked with women who were together with us in the trenches during that armed struggle. Women from Frelimo, women from SWAPO, women from ANC, women from Chama Chama Pinduzi, Zambia, all these people who have gone through a very tough time to attain their independence. And I admit, we did wrong. We did not talk about it. It was not written. Children went to school. The curriculum vitae was not looked at to see that. I always used to tell people that when I was in New York, with my two kids, as they were going to school in New York, they came back telling me stories about Christopher Columbus. They came back telling me stories about Boston Tea Party. But children in this country were never taught what happened in Zambia, what happened in Mozambique, what happened in Nyazonya, what was Nyazonya attack like. So we made a mistake, but all the same, this is the history of this country. We need to carry it with us for us to succeed, to get to where we want to go. If you don't know where you're coming from, if you don't know where you are, then you will never know where you want to go.
Yeah,
so let me come back to I'm spiritually, emotionally attached to lifting other women.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity. I was elected in Parliament before I became a minister. I was elected by the women, both from opposition and ruling party, to lead them as the chairperson of the Women Parliamentary Caucus. The job was to make sure that, yes, women had been elected into parliament, but the question to ask is, just by being elected, does that give you the capacity to be able to do the oversight? Does that give you capacity to be able to represent, maybe, because people elect you for many reasons. You can be elected because you are very vocal. You can be elected because you can dance more than the others. You can be elected because you can sing better than others. But there are these capacities which are required in parliament. That requires a lot of capacity building. As a chairperson of the Women Parliamentary Caucus, I did a lot of capacity building workshops to make sure that we empower the women. We wanted this country of Zimbabwe to say, yes, we have women in parliament, but not just to see them in parliament, but to hear them talk. To hear them talk, articulate issues which normally will never be taken into parliament. There are issues which are considered taboo, and yet those affect women. The issues of early child marriages, the issues of sanitary wear, the issues about making sure that all children are represented in all areas. So these are the issues we empower. We also interrogated issues of budget, because you need to put money where your mouth is. It's just not about saying we want women, we want financial inclusion, we want also to be land owners, we want to have the rights to land where women want. If you don't put a budget to it, it will not get you anywhere. So we started then interrogating the budget, would work very closely with the Ministry of Finance in the country to make sure that when they come up with a budget, whatever policies which have been put into place, can they be implemented? So these are issues I did in parliament, and I'm glad to say I served 5 years in that position. Not did I only impress my colleague women members of parliament and Zimbabwean women. I had an opportunity to work for the SADC Parliamentary Forum. And when this is the all SADC, 15 countries of SADC. When I attended as a delegate from Zimbabwe Parliament, they saw something in me and they elected me first as the treasurer of that regional institution. I worked in that position and I was elevated to be the chairperson of the Regional Women Parliamentary Caucus. That gave me an opportunity to work with all the SADC countries, all the women in the SADC country, lobbying for women so that they can also get into parliament. We are the people who came up with the SADC model, the first of its kind, on stopping early marriages. Wow. How powerful that organization is. The SADC Parliamentary Forum, and we hope sooner or later it's going to be a parliament, because it's important for the Southern African Development Cooperation region to also have its parliament. We know Northern Africa has got its own parliament. East Africa has got its parliament, and there is Pan-African Parliament. There's ECOWAS on the West, and we are saying as a Southern African region, we need our own parliament, because the issues which we talk about, when you talk about women empowerment, when you talk about suppression of women among our communities, it has no borders. That's what I learned. The problems virtually the problems which women meet in this country are the same in Mozambique, same in South Africa, same in Lesotho, Malawi, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, all these countries, Tanzania, because I visited each and every of this country, spoke to the women in this country. Our problems, we found out they are the same. So as a woman, this is what I have a passion about women issues. I can go on and on. I really, these are issues. So eventually, actually, I was the first woman vice president of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, who was not a member, who was not a speaker, the first one. And I served in that position. I remember when I went to say goodbye, when I was appointed in this position as Minister of Information, I made the whole almost in tears, because I thought I had learned a lot from that institution. It can go a long way promoting women. it can go a long way promoting our region, talk about the problems, the challenges we have in the SADC region, talk about challenges of electricity, challenges of water. I believe if the SADC region can work together closely, we'll be able to solve those problems. Martha, I can go on and on. Let me leave you to ask me what you want.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can feel the passion in your voice when you're talking about women issues. And I believe you are the right person to actually, from Women in Politics, to invite to this show, because you know, it's always good to hear from somebody who have walked the journey. We can read books, we can read articles, but if we haven't heard it from somebody who have been there, especially from the age of 15, that is something that always touched me. You know, growing up, I'm originally from Berengwa. So growing up, I've read everything that I could find. Given, you know, Berengwa is just too rural, but I could look for anything that I could find to read about the war of liberation, stories that we hear from our uncles, from our mothers, Chimbidos and the Mujibas and so forth. Those were heartbreaking. So I grew up with this Pan-Africanism, just feeling like I need to know more. So when you are out there in the world representing Africa, representing Zimbabwe, you meet a lot of challenges because people do not understand the fight behind what we call Zimbabwe, what we call Africa. It's not something that was given in a silver platter. So listening to you sharing all of this, to be honest, I can listen all day because I want to understand more, but that will be for another day. So for the sake of this, for this conversation, I don't want to call it an interview, because this is a conversation. There is somebody out there who is listening and somebody out there who is definitely taking notes to say, we can do it. So when I look at everything, you being a wife, you being a mother, I always refer to African men. Okay, that's me sometimes. To African men as village headmen first. On that, I mean, there is always...
You're not far from the truth.
There's always that issue of, really, I don't think most of them are at that stage of accepting my wife as a professional, my wife living a dream, serving a purpose. I know maybe it was different back then because it was fighting the war of liberation. But now in today's age, there's always some sort of competition. Maybe the empowerment is not balanced. So men will always feel like when a woman is standing up on the stage and speaking, you are a threat to them. How do we find balance there?
Martha, I normally talk to a lot of young women because I believe if this country, if we don't have more and more young women coming into politics, then all this work we have done, all this legacy will come to naught. So when I speak to young women, first of all, I talk about my experiences, but I also talk about the experiences of other women I see. Yes, you are right. When you actually look around, sometimes you see that women who are high there in politics, sometimes they are divorcees, sometimes they're just not even married, single parents. And I must say, it's not easy. Here I am. I must say, admit that thanks to my mother, growing up, she used to say, you pray hard, say, God, please give me the right person as a husband.
Wow.
I mean, that took me, even when it happened, my mother was not around. When I met Christopher, my husband, she wasn't around. But that remained at the back of my mind. And I continue to say this. And so I met my husband in the war. As I said, some people say, oh, you went to war, you were already looking for husbands. This was a lie. Nobody knew when Zimbabwe was going to be independent. Where people are, you know, this is very normal and natural. And so I met my husband in the war. My first son was born in the war. And like the war of Vietnam, where children were looked after. We looked after our children who were born in the war because we never knew when this war was going to end. Those children were going to continue like what happened in Vietnam. But this is the key. I want to say I'm lucky, or God gave me a very good partner in my life. We met as colleagues. I spent 3 years working with him in the, interacting with him during the war. He came to the front, I remained behind. He came back, he went to another camp as a camp commissar. I didn't see him, but we kept as good friends. He had come, I admired him. He had come from university. He had nothing, because there was nothing else. These days you look for a man, does he have a car? Is he wearing beautiful shoes? There was nothing of that sort. I just enjoyed a conversation with him, talking to him, his intelligence, and that's how we ended up falling in love. And this is the man I worked with from nowhere to where we are today. Wow. And his support and my support. So he started as my friend. And I could see he had a lot of respect for me. So when you're looking for somebody to marry you, it's important not just somebody who has got a passion for you, to sleep with you, or to, but more than that, somebody who respects you. Because, passion, yes, it can be there, but sometimes between man and husband, that can disappear. And so when that disappears, what you want most to continue is respect for each other. You look at that person and say, I really like this person. If this person gets sick, I will take care of this person. If this person is going through problems, I'll sit down and listen to this person's problems. That's what is important. You need to find that important, how can I say? You need to gel it. It's very important. So it starts from respect. Thank God my husband understands me. I would never be where I am today if I didn't have a supportive husband. That's the truth about it. And it's not because I'm special no, it's just that in life, in our whole life, as he was a diplomat, I would respect him. His success is my success. I celebrate every success which comes around my husband is mine. And equally, he celebrates every success which comes to me as his. I've never had a time when I say my husband loses his job and I'm the one working, then I find time to say, you're eating my money. Or that has never occurred. And yet we've gone through all that many times when he's working and I'm not working, and when I'm working and he's not working. But we continued to move together. So the key word is his success is my success. My success is his success. So he supports me through and through. But I see it's not easy to get there. There's a lot of give and take. And I must admit, as a woman, there are times when you tend to give more than what you take. But what I always tell young people is there will come a time in that relationship when a man looks back and remembers where you gave so much and took very little, and say, this woman is heavy duty. This woman is somebody I need to work with all my life. It's not easy. I don't want to sound like it is easy. I don't want to sound like I'm special. I've dealt with this situation different than many women. I know there are women out there who try everything and their partner will not support them. There are times when I personally went through the most difficult time because of what my husband went through publicly, but I would keep my face up and be happy to be called Mrs. Mutsvangwa. There was never a time when I bow my head simply because everybody out there is talking about my husband and feel like, oh my God, I wish I was not his wife. That never occurred. No matter how difficult, no matter how under he went, I would always stand up with my head up and say, that's my husband, no matter what time. And that's exactly what happens to me. I wouldn't be able to carry out this heavy task without his support. He is the person I call first before I take any If there's something big decision I need to take, I would not take it without consulting my husband. He is the person I discuss with most of my problems, my challenges in work. He is always there to listen for me and is always ready to proffer advice which will get me somewhere. So I have been, to some extent, I thank the Lord that I've got a partner who is that supportive. I gave up my professionalism when I went. He was posted as ambassador to China. I didn't say it because I'm a professional woman. No, you go, I'll stay behind. But I uprooted everything from Zimbabwe and I joined him in China. And when I was in China, because of who I am, I found value. I ended up being the president of the African group of ambassador spouses. And that took me the whole China. They know me up to today. So I always tell my young women, when you join politics, be sincere, be truthful.
Yes.
It's up to you to prove to your partner that I'm in this for good reasons. Because the politics, yes, they say it's a dirty game, but it's the people who are dirty. I've been a politician all my life from the age of 15, by virtue of the fact that I joined the struggle at that age.
Yeah.
You can actually see that here, people want to be dirty, and you stick to politics. And what is politics? I always tell young people. Politics is to worry about the environment in which you are. Are there schools for the community in which you are? Are there roads there? Are there hospitals and clinics so that if mothers want to give birth, they can be looked after? Are there ambulances there? Are we talking about sexual orientation so that people understand how women should be looking after themselves? Are these issues being understood by government so that they should put resources to make sure that they look after their women who are always bearing the future leaders of the country? So these are issues about politics. So people make it dirty, and yet politics is about your country. It's about worrying about things which make your country go to the next stage. It's not about being used. It's not about being to be vocal and just say things which don't get you anywhere. Politics is about you think and you say, okay, this is what is in front of me. How do we go about it to see that we solve problems for the good of everyone in a country?
Wow. Wow, that is so huge. You are a professional, you are a mother, you are a wife, and I love the idea, the advice that you are giving to young people. Pray hard for a husband, and I think when you have somebody who understands your purpose, who understands who you are, they will always be there to support you. And I think we always miss the point because as today's young people, we are more inspired by the stories that we see on YouTube and on Google more than the real life stories of our mothers, of our aunties, of women like you who actually you have done it all. You have traveled the world. You have served in many offices, but still you are a wife, you are a mother. This is so inspiring.
And a grandmother.
Wow, and a grandmother now. Wow, kudos to you, and we'll clap hands to you because you are somebody that we can look up to. So that most women believe that being empowered, it means a marriage is out of the question, children is out of the question. I'll just wear my heels and they should know me. We step on top of men. We started disempowering them. Like you had to put aside everything about you and say, I'm going with my husband to China. Wow, that takes a lot. I'm taking notes. If you just tuned in, this is Radio 54 African Panorama with Matarenda Shumba, with Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, who is the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting, Zimbabwe. We are creating the Africa we want, and why not look at women in politics? And Mutsvangwa, as a leader in a continent that is always looked down on, a country that is always painted black, what gives you hope for the future to say one day the world will understand us. One day we'll lead as Africa with all the resources. And giving examples of Zim, just looking at, we've been in the media for, I don't know, for all the wrong reasons and so forth. Is there...
Mother, I want to declare something and tell you something. Women, I believe, women are better leaders. They are certainly, and I certainly believe that. And I believe that because women do not micromanage, but they look at everything. They are multitasked. For the fact that, let's start from nature itself, how God made a woman. A woman carries pregnancy for 9 months. A little something starting growing until that little something becomes a baby at 9 months. You all enjoy and say congratulations. Then not only does it end there for a woman, that woman needs to nurture this little thing, 2 kg or whatever, to nurture the thoroughness of nurturing that baby to a point where he or she becomes a big person. Again, I think that's a talent from God. It's a gift which we can't overlook. So, this is how a woman looks at each and every problem. They try to analyze and look at everything around it. It's not hush and quickly just say, I don't, and the patience I'm talking about. The patience and tolerance. So that kind of patience, tolerance, smartness is the same which is applied even at national level. Mothers, if they don't teach their children the proper behavior and habits in a village, that village is all gone. If they don't continue to teach their children how to behave, the values, the principles, that home, even at home level, is done.
That's right.
And I tell a lot of young women that forget about no, I can't, he can't treat me like that. What if I do the same thing? How would he feel? It's not about competition. As much as I'm educated, and I'm not saying women allow men to take you for granted. No, I'm just saying you have that talent to analyze and say this person is talking like this because he wants certain things to go a certain way.
That's true.
And if you're smart and clever and tolerant and intelligent enough to see, you will go around and go straight. He will come back and follow you because you're on a straight line.
That's true.
So what I'm saying is, yes, it's very difficult for the girl child. We know how difficult it has been from the time it was colonial days. Our women were double oppressed in their families, oppressed in their communities, and oppressed by the colonial regime. That's why I was very excited as a vice chair of COPA, Constitutional Making Process, that the people of this country spoke openly about these issues, and they all agreed. It was general consensus that we want affirmative action for our girl child. Because the field has not been leveled for a long time. And that is what has also managed even in parliament. That quota, which is provided for in the constitution, actually put the numbers of women in parliament, because what we want is that exposure, and that they then continue to gain confidence to say they can do it. Because mothers, they spend their time bringing up children to home and nobody's looking at them and nobody's seeing them, but people see the results. The home is peaceful, the children are behaving well, but nobody actually analyzes them every minute. So if you know women are scared of being judged,
That's
The
true.
moment Mutsvangwa, I'm the Minister of Information, people start writing anything they want. You know, Monica, she's a whore. Monica's child is not a Christian child. All these things should not just touch your heart. Once you have committed yourself to save the people of Zimbabwe, and you know you are doing it with all your heart, and you know you are a principled person, you walk on a straight line, you should never be brought down by what people say. These days, there's so much sensationalism, so much is said. I mean, there are people, when they talk about me, I look at them and I feel like asking, do you know me?
That's true.
When they talk, you think they grew up with me, or they know my family, or they know, because people enjoy saying bad things. The media has not been fair to the women all over the world. I just can't talk about Zimbabwe because I had an opportunity to interact with women at all regional level and international level. I think I've attended the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations for more than 10 years. And this is a platform, where women come from all over the world. And the issues which affect women end up not getting confident because their life has always been secretive. When they start being judged publicly, they feel like, no, I can't do it. No, I don't think I can go through this. But what I say is, when you get into politics, be sincere with what you want. Don't go to politics to find some boyfriends. Because once that happens and your man sees it, it's up to you as a woman, fair or not fair, it's up to you to make your husband feel comfortable. That when you go on a plane to go to New York for work, you are going for work. When you are going to a constituency to talk to your electorate, you are going to work. It's up to the woman, unfortunately. And I don't think it's fair on the woman, but that's the world. So issues about, personally, I want to say media, they are so derogatory. When they talk about a woman, it's all about, is she married? Or she's a bitch? Or she sleeps with this one? Or she has got a child with this one? And all that is meant, and I have always said to women, it's because the man is so scared of a woman, especially on top of them, because they always have been brought up by a woman at home. And when they grow up, they say, okay, I'm out of this. They want to go to work and become the boss.
Yeah, that's
when it's a woman, my God, now no, I can't have a woman. We see a lot of women who get into politics young and they end up being used by men.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true.
And sometimes being used by men to destroy other women. So I'm saying to the women of the world, we need to support each other.
Yeah,
it's important. Before, when you read all these things on social media, it's important to sit back and say, but why are they talking like this? This woman is so good in what she's doing. Why talk like this? Then you know. It's a tough world out there, but it's our country.
Yeah,
if we have women who fought side by side during for independence, we certainly need women to be side by side during peace times.
Yeah, that's
We need
true.
our people to have enough food. We need hospitals for our people. We need to make sure that schools, their teachers, their books, we need to make sure that there are enough ambulances to take our mothers to hospitals. We need to make sure that we teach our women about it, to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
SHR issues should be talked about so that women young don't get pregnant when they are young. We know what happens when young girls get married. Their life is totally disturbed and destroyed. So we need these issues to be talked about and at national level to be dealt with.
Wow, Thank you so much, Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa and Radio 54 listeners. This is Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, who is the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting, ZIM. And she is here sharing, she has shared her journey and all the advices for women, all the young women, and also looking at how the government, I can say our African governments have also failed to document, the journey to independence and liberation, because that is highly important to shape the future. If you don't know where you're coming from, where you are going is always dark, because people can tell you their own side of the story that you won't understand. So if you just tuned in, this is Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, and in Women in Politics in Creating the Africa We Want. I hope you have learned a lot, and you are able to connect with the women who have walked the journey. We'll be bringing more women so that we can shape the Africa we want. The future is female, like I always say, but it does not mean when you are empowered, you have to disempower men. Anything else that you want to add, or any advice that you want to give to women?
Martha, just to say,
yes.
I've taken it upon myself now as a Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services to make sure that we start in the editorial rooms.
Yes, yes.
As long as editors out there are men, as long as those who are writing stories about women are men, it is very difficult.
Oh, amen. That's true.
So we have since I've been in this position, hardly 2 years, for the first time we do have women editors for big papers. Because of my influence and my push because my board, all my boards are 50-50. Gender balance, because we feel that there's a lot which women can do to make the country go forward. So the issues of gender equality, the issues of gender balance are not just issues for lip service. It should be practiced. It is known that countries who have actually sticking to gender balance is like the Nordic countries. Is development. So the issues of women empowerment are just not for human rights issues. These are developmental issues.
Yeah.
And the women should be able to just support each other. I am looking forward for every support. I am looking also as a ministry, I accept every criticism, because criticism, as long as it's constructive, it will make me move to the next stage.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much for being with us. And I think this talk show is gonna go on until the end of August, and I'm hoping to mobilize at least a young woman who wants to walk into your footsteps. And we're gonna have another show. I'm going to invite you again so that we can actually speak to them, so they can understand the journey. And if there is anything else that is happening in your ministry, that we can also work on, because what we aim to do with these shows is not just to talk and people hear. We also want to put programs on the ground. What is happening in your ministry in Zim? How many women do we have who are interested, and how do we work with your ministry, and how do we connect with other countries and learning what is happening there? So if that is open.
Martha, on that score, I'll be very happy if you come up with any program. Let me just tell you again, our Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation is being led by a woman as we talk right now.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes, the acting CEO is a woman. Our Sunday Mail, one of the biggest newspapers, the editor is a woman. So wow, we're moving.
Yeah, we're moving in the right direction. So thank you so much, Minister. I'll keep in touch, and I'll sit on your neck, and I'll definitely make sure that we connect. If you just tuned in last minute, this is Radio 54 African Panorama with Martha Matsarenda Shumba, in conversation with the Honorable Monica Mutsvangwa, who is the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting, Zimbabwe, who have shared a whole lot of stuff you guys just missed out. But she's just gonna be here most of the time, so I'll make sure that we communicate and let you know what is happening out there. You can visit their Twitter handle, Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting. You can also check them on their Facebook so that you can keep abreast with what is happening in the country. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you, Martha, and I'll be happy to come back to your program next time.
All right, not a problem.